Hi, I am Monica Brant, one of the world's first true fitness pioneers starting back in 1991. I helped launch the fitness industry while traveling internationally, meeting fans worldwide to share my style of fitness to the bodybuilding community. After a decade of fitness competitions, I earned one of the world's most prestigious titles, the IFBB Fitness Olympia Championships. Moving into the new millennium, I was the first IFBB Fitness Olympia athlete to transition into the new professional figure division and compete for close to another 20 years. After 15 years as an IFBB professional, I tried another organization and won the WBFF World Pro Figure Championships both 2010 and 2013. I am a true athlete and made my way into racing into the Masters USATF sprint events, placing top 3 at the World's Masters track meet in all 3 events, the 100, 200, and 400 meter races. Besides athletics, I have been honored with over 100 magazine covers both nationally and internationally. Since it's always a blessing to share with others, over the last 15 years, I've hosted women's fitness events and worked with clients, helping them discover how to live radiantly in all areas of life, body, mind, soul, and spirit. The Monica Brant Show is one of the ways I am honoring the legendary athletes, powerhouse individuals, and nutrition gurus that have laid a strong foundation in the past, help keep the current industry flowing, and offer inspiration to the next generations. Monica Brant Show, and I have my lovely, wonderful friend and amazing photographer, business partner, Sarah Lyons in the house.
What's
and she's
up,
literally
y'all?
in my house.
Totally like split character, totally happening right now. Like we have our space and this is going down. It's like duo studio place.
You're just like right in the other room, Sarah. It's been fun. It's been great. We have epic destination photo shoots going on this week for covers of Bodyscape magazine and virtual photo shoots and in-house photography and Monica Brant Show with very, very special guests. I can't wait. What do you?
This is nothing short of amazing, especially to just me, because I mean, I'm a photographer in the fitness industry. I started there. But this guy who's on our show tonight is the legend. Yeah. It literally does not get any more deep than Robert Reiff.
Oh, you already just announced who it is. What the heck? I'm going to turn it over to you, Sarah, all day long.
Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just take it over.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I am Monica Brant, and as you know, I've got Sarah Lyons here, my co-host for tonight's Monica Brant Show. And if you don't mind, please type in where you're checking in from. I mean, I almost said calling, but you're not calling. You're like on the show with us. So
they're kind of calling.
They're kind of calling. Yeah. So check in. I see John Butler, Brandy West. Yay, Ruben. We see Ruben tomorrow.
Ruben!
We see Ruben tomorrow. I know. I'm so excited. We get to shoot Ruben and his beautiful family tomorrow with this special little thing. Can't say. And I see Kathy Brewer. Woohoo! I know Kathy's in from North Carolina, and I don't know if she's in Ohio or North Carolina right now, but Kathy, nice to see you. She actually has Cammie's baby, Mocha.
Oh,
I know, Kathy, you're very special. Eduardo, hello. Nice to see everybody. Claudia, thank you for joining us. If y'all can just type in where you're from. I see Toronto in the house. And of course, I know Ruben's up in Austin, John's in Canada. So you guys type in where you're from. We'd love to see you guys. We have some very exciting and fun things tonight. And I'm so excited about who we get to talk to tonight. And, I've been calling this an interview or talk show or something, but I really feel like this is a chance for me to have a conversation with my good friends. And
absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. Every time I think this is my 13th show. And Sarah, you've joined obviously one all by yourself. And then now you've been a co-host for what, 2, 3?
This is my second.
Your second. That's right. That's right. So I really feel like this is a chance for me to catch up with my friends and then to show you guys, those of you viewing either now live or coming in the future when we have these up on YouTube and you guys can join in later and check out. But we have such amazing guests. These are people that have changed or helped built, changed, and created the bodybuilding and fitness industry as we know it today. And I bring in guests that are bodybuilders, fitness, figure, bikini, as well as past and present. I almost said future, but like past
that too,
and future. But there's so many people that are in the industry now that don't really know what the history of this industry is. And so my goal with these shows, when I bring in these people, is to demonstrate, to showcase, to honor the legendary people, the super powerhouse individuals that helped create the bodybuilding and fitness industry as we know it. And you guys, I mean, I joined this thing back in 91 in a very small way, but this gentleman tonight has been in the industry way beyond me. I mean, I was 3 years old when he
I was one.
And he was a professional. So, and I don't mean to make jokes of this, but I want to have some fun with this too, because this is a time that we all need laughter. We all need fun. We need something different that's going around that's not just the same old of the news and the media and the negativity. I want this to be a positive opportunity for people to come in and go, oh my gosh, I had no idea who this person was, but I want to follow this person. I want to know what they're doing. I want to see what they're doing next. And maybe there's somebody new in the industry that needs to connect with this person to further their business, further their legendary status. So I'm super excited to bring in this person. So should I introduce them, Sarah?
Do it, dude. Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay. So I don't even know. Like, this gentleman, I didn't even know when I got to shoot with him back in 95. I did not know at that time who I was shooting with because I was new. I was just new.
I can't even imagine what that would have felt like for you.
I didn't know. But I mean, I know that I loved my pictures and I know they showed up in Muscle and Fitness and Flex magazine.
No one's saying anything though, but I mean,
really
about that.
But I mean, besides working with me, this gentleman has been a professional for 47 years. Dude. Professional. I mean, anytime you can say a professional for that many years, like, someone has elite skill.
He has achieved master level status.
Absolutely.
There's no one better than him.
No one better. And no wonder his name is, his company name is Magic Light, because he creates these images and this feel of the environment around the model. Now, this guy has been a fashion photographer, and we're going to dive into all of these different pieces because it is, when you start talking to him about all the things that he has done, you want to know, how did you do all of this, right? And how did you create? I mean, it's just like kind of mind blowing. So, fashion photographer, real estate, and architectural high-end photography, food and nutrition photography. I mean, how exciting can you make an apple and an orange and maybe a meal look? But he does it. Somehow he does it.
He does it. He continues to do it.
And then, of course, we've got the bodybuilding and fitness industry, and that encompasses figure, physique, on and on and on, training. I mean, this guy has done everything in photography, and he has shot for almost every magazine beyond what you can even think of. And he's still working to this day. He's got new stuff coming up all the time. He's recreating himself. And I had the honor to work with this gentleman for about, I'm going to say 15 years. And he helped create some of the pieces that I'm most proud of in my industry, or in my career, excuse me. So I think that without any further ado, we should just welcome Robert Reiff, Magic Light Photography owner and creator and amazing photographer, human friend, and one of the biggest guys in my life that has helped me create all that I create. And I'm going to quit talking because I'll keep talking, but Kona, let's roll it. Robert could not stop talking about how brilliant you are.
Thank you for that amazing introduction. I feel like the interview's over. That was fantastic. What can I add to that?
It's not even an interview. It's a conversation. But I'm telling you, I almost couldn't stop talking. And I almost got, I get a little choked up because you have been such a big impact in my life for so many big pieces of my career. And I look back at a lot of pictures and that always brings us to memories. And I'm just so, thoughtful and in awe of all the stuff that we created together. But I mean, I'm just one person, and you have worked with millions. Besides that, you've always been so much fun and encouraging and thoughtful. You've always asked about who I am personally and what's going on in my life. And I just, I am just so excited to have you on my show. And without further ado, I want to make sure that I've introduced you correctly to Sarah Lyons, and Sarah to you, Robert Reiff.
Hi, nice to meet you.
we have met before, but it's nice to see you again.
Great to see you again too, Robert. Yeah.
And I have to say, I do like the beard. It's very becoming.
Well, it's going to be coming off.
It's going to be coming off. Do you have a goal for it to be coming off?
Well, first of all, there was no goal for it to even be coming on. But, there I was, doing the COVID thing like everybody.
Like everybody, right.
And my wife, Joan, and my stepdaughter, Lindsay, they, after I let it go for about a week, they're like, oh, you should just grow your beard. So it kind of just started there. And then it just stuck. So here it is for now. But I think it will be going.
Well, it's nice on you. And have you done the goatee before?
It's actually it's not a goatee, it's a full beard, but it's so white that it's
you could let it go like Santa. No, but have you done the goatee yet?
Oh, have I done No, I haven't done the goatee. I've had a beard. I had a beard in the 1980s when it was
red. Oh
my
gosh.
When it was
a full beard. Like all the way down to here?
No, not a long beard. No.
Okay.
It will get long pretty quickly, so I don't want that.
Don't do that.
Well, I think before you take all of it off, I think you should do either some decoration like the chops with just the up here chops, like the old days. I know or the goatee. I think you should do one of the two, or do both. I don't know. Have fun with it.
I like it. That's a good
idea.
Roll
with it.
Yeah.
Why not?
And then send us pictures and hashtag the Monica Brant Show.
Maybe that's what it'll be. Hashtag Monica Brant Show.
Yeah, I think
that's it.
I think that's a great idea.
I might need a larger cheek for that.
Well, there's always the injections that are still available even with COVID.
Oh.
There's only so many things that are open and so many things that are closed. But, dermatologists are essential.
Yes, they are.
Or, estheticians, whatever you want to call
Right.
the med spas, they're essential. So, we still can go in and beautify ourselves because we have to be beautiful to stay home.
Well, you are both beautiful. I think my glam squad got stuck in the airport about 4 months ago. So.
Well, there's that. We've got one for you. Actually, we've got about 6. 6
Right.
amazing glam squads.
Well, speaking of glam squad, I want to, have to take a moment to say thank you to my sponsors. And one of my sponsors is Miss Barbara Cazarin. I have to say her name right. Cazarin. I hope I'm saying it right, Barbara, because she comes and glams me up before my Monica Brant show. She's here in San Antonio. So if any of you guys need a glam artist, hair and makeup, come check out Barbara or message me and I'll get you her information right away. So, and I tag her on everything too, or my team tags her. So anyways, Robert, that's so important. And I know that you and I have worked together so many years. And one of my favorites, Nancy Jambazian.
Love Nancy.
Yeah. Do you still work with Nancy a little bit?
I haven't worked with Nancy for a while, but I love her and I hope to work with her again soon.
Awesome. Yeah, she's up there a little north of you, so maybe it's kind of rough. I don't know. I haven't talked to her a little bit. I need to catch up with her. She's been one of my dear friends for a long time, so I need to reconnect with her. But tonight's all about you, Robert.
But I do, before we turn it over to All About Me, I do want to say a few words about you.
Uh-oh. Here we
Just
go.
a few.
Well, first of all, I'm honored to be on your show. I really appreciate your inviting me. And we do go way back, as you pointed out, to sometime in the 90s. And I've just always been very, very impressed with you. Your energy is amazing. As a person, you're just really a great person. And you have just driven yourself so hard. I mean, I've just seen you transition over the years and worked harder and harder and harder, which is why you are who you are and why you got to where you are. As you both know, that it's a lot of work, to get anywhere in any of the arts. And, you've definitely gone over and above and you've reinvented yourself over and over. So kudos to you. And I'm really blessed to be here with you. And plus all the time that we've spent also with your fem camps.
Right.
Over the years. I don't know how many of your guests are familiar with your fem camps, but we had the opportunity, I don't even know how many years that was, but a lot of years where you would bring camps to Marina Del Rey. You did them all around the country in Canada.
Yes.
But we did them in Marina Del Rey, and you would bring groups of girls, like sometimes, I don't know, what was 20 girls?
30. I think the max we had one time was 32 that you actually worked with us. One day shooting.
So that was a lot of fun. I mean, you gave everybody so much information. I mean, besides, we did a one-day photo shoot here, which was a lot of fun for everybody, myself included. But you really just shared a lot of information and spirituality with them, and I know how much they appreciated it.
Robert, there's so many memories we have. Like, I just want to touch on. Thank you for that honor too, and thank you for recognizing what all we've done, because sometimes you wonder, like, do people that you've had work involvement with, do they remember everything? Because when, as an individual, I look back at all the things that we've done together and I'm thinking, I wonder if Robert remembers this or this or this, and it's really, I think it's important that we each recognize the things that we've done together, because I believe it's a joint effort when we work together, that it's bettering your business, bettering my business. It was bettering, say, Muscle Fitness or Flex or whatever the job was at the time, right? And then it's just like this chain reaction that, we worked together so well, and then it transferred to other people and other companies that were involved. And so one of the memories I have was our very first photo shoot. And the only thing I can't remember right now is either 95 or 96. Now, I don't remember that, but we were on Perfetto boat. The guys that own Perfetto, and right now, Sean Green maybe, and Joe?
Well, that was Rick and Tammy at the time.
Rick and Tammy, I'm sorry, that's right. Okay, Sean, wait. Rick and Tammy, it's Sean and Joe, they were Muscle Mag. Wait, Max Muscle. Oh my gosh, Max Muscle, right? Max Muscle. So Rick, yes, you're right. Rick and Tammy, and we're on their beautiful boat. And I remember,
Right.
I remember the sunset, and I
Yeah.
remember shooting. And I had the one. I remember there's 2 pictures that I sold for years. In fact, I still have some 8x10s that could sell right now. One of them was a purple bikini, and I had a purple boa on.
Nice.
And then the other one was this like kind of, I don't know, it wasn't a 1-piece, what it wasn't a 2-piece. I don't know what you call it. But those 2 pictures were some of the most beautiful pictures I had ever taken. And still to this day, I look back and going, wow, they were so beautiful. Of course, because Robert Reiff has been a photographer for 47, a professional elite photographer for that many years. And I came in at 96, 95, 96, and you'd already been going since 73.
Right.
I mean, you weren't just brand new like so many of these photographers nowadays that come into the industry going, oh, I got a camera. I'm a photographer. Let me shoot you. You knew what was up. You knew how to get the physique right. You knew what angles, curves. I was new. I mean, I had been doing photos for, what was I, 24, 25. But I'd been doing some pictures, since
Right.
I was 16 or 17, but nothing like you. Nothing like you. And so for me to come in and have those images was, pretty spectacular. And they got in Flex Magazine. And then we shot together for 10 years for Flex Magazine swimsuit edition.
At least I know that was really fantastic.
10 years.
In
10 years.
In fact, we have some pictures. Some of those we can't be sharing. Kona, do you have any you can throw up?
Well, we certainly those, but
there we go.
There's some, yep. So there's Francis Benefato, and I keep in touch with him and his business partner in Spain, actually, to today. I actually want them to come on my Monica Brant show eventually. We're trying to work that out. And then the second one, I remember that beautiful little cove where we went and shot there. Sarah, does this not remind you of where we're shooting Sunday?
100%. I was just having a moment with that scene.
I know, right?
So beautiful. And you look amazing.
Thank you. And then Palm Springs Life, that was so cool. Robert booked me for that job. That's something, Robert, that you shot, right? Numerous times.
That was actually a lot different than, so this was really out of the fitness world per se. This is one of my other clients. It was a magazine in Palm Springs. It was a lifestyle magazine, architecture and lifestyle. So we kind of combined, we were showing both the house, the pool, the interior, the exterior.
We had beautiful pictures in that too. I have the magazine here. I should have brought it out, and so we could have gone through, because remember we shot in that beautiful shower and out.
The shower was gorgeous.
I mean, and I was dressed, but I mean, there's just some, with Robert, you don't have to have very little on anything you shoot with Robert. He's going to have it just perfect and beautiful and, classy and elegant, anything that we were looking for. That was a really fun shoot. That was out in Palm Springs, obviously. And then the last one was Mr. Eddie Robbins.
Robinson, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Here. Yep. Muscle and Fitness. And I think Eddie likes to talk that was the #1 selling Muscle and Fitness cover. And I don't know if that's still to date, but Eddie talks about that on social media. He says that was the #1 Muscle and Fitness cover. And I don't know if Joe Weider told him that or who told him that, but he still kind of puts that out there.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It's fun. Okay, so these other 2 on opposite sides, the green and so these 2 shoots, I just want to say this real quick. And Robert, I still want to kind of go back to more about you in your past and how you got to be where you are today. But I just want to know, while we've got these up. So Robert was extremely understanding for me. I've had eye challenges, I'll say, my entire life. And at this point in my career, in my life, I was suffering with some very severe sun sensitivities in my eyesight. And so you can see Robert did everything he could to position me in a way where he got the best of me and I wasn't dying with the sun in my eyes. And Sarah and I had this little conversation, which I think we'll bring up a little later, about the difference between back then, here's in the early 2000s, late 90s versus today, and shooting outside with the lenses and the cameras. But with that one, you had me in the waterfall, eyes closed. Again, going back to Sunday, Sarah, look at that waterfall. And then the number 2 on the opposite side, I have sunglasses on living life because my son, I could have my eyes closed and that picture still turned out great. One of my favorites.
Very pretty.
Yeah, right. And then, of course, you've got the Olympia photo there. I think I came in third that year there at the Olympia, and that's some of the background of the backstage images because Robert was. Sometimes we were very fortunate to have him backstage shooting us athletes, and we knew we were going to get great shots because Robert is backstage shooting for us. So, Robert did a little bit of everything. And
fortunate. That's an understatement.
Well, we were blessed for sure. Because you never know backstage who's going to be back there. But when you knew Robert's back there, you had the lighting and you knew you were going to get great shots. So you come off the stage, and if you didn't place as well as you wanted to place, or you still knew you come back there, you have someone you care about that cares about you, and could get the best images for you too. So it was always nice to see Robert back there, and you're a friendly person. So, okay. So I want to quit talking about me and you's photography because I could go on forever. But Robert, I just would like to talk a little bit about kind of, your history, well, first of all, before that, how are you doing with this shutdown? I know you're in California, which is a little bit more challenging, I think, than Texas. Like, how is this whole situation that we're walking through right now affecting you, your business, and your family?
Well, let's see. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's definitely affecting my business, quite a bit, just as it is with anybody in production. So I've pretty much been mostly shut down since March 15th. I did have one 3-day video production, for the app company Plank that I'm working with now. We'll talk about more of that later. But, aside from that shoot, I mean, I haven't done anything for, like 4 or 5 months in terms of work. So I am using the opportunity. My wife, Joan, and I have been just very good, about staying home. We're doing the self-quarantine thing. We're using the opportunity to do a lot of, we're lucky, we love each other. To be able to spend all the time together is great. We have a gorgeous garden, beautiful, beautiful backyard that to me is very relaxing to actually spend time in. So I spend a lot of time every day, taking care of it, which is something I do normally, but now I have even more time to do it than that. And we're spending time decluttering the house, which is great because when you merge two families together, and two households into one household, later in life, you have a lot of stuff. And so
I can attest to that.
So we're decluttering our stuff, which is very cleansing, actually. So, and then I work out at home. I've got a nice little home gym. Nothing elaborate, but I definitely miss going to the gym. I mean, one of the things that I personally have really benefited from being around this entire fitness industry as a photographer is it inspires me to stay fit. I've learned from the best of the best of the best. I mean, people like yourself and all of the people that I've worked with over the years and all the shoots that I've done doing workouts. I mean, I've had the rare opportunity to absorb a lot of that information. So I'm not just throwing it out the window. I like to actually utilize it. I've never been a bodybuilder, but I like to stay fit. I like to stay active. I think that's what keeps you, young and energetic. So anyway, I'm using time at home to do that. And we go for walks and hikes. And other than that, it's definitely, nobody ever expected to go this long. So I'm very anxious to get back to work. The studio, which I'm speaking from right now, is also a rental studio, meaning I rent it out to other production companies, other photographers, other videographers, seminars, whatever, on a daily basis. So that's actually been completely dead. The whole studio rental business. I've had some rentals that were supposed to happen. Recently, somebody got COVID and they had to cancel. So I stay optimistic. I tend to be an optimistic person.
Right.
And, I just try to make the most of it. But it's definitely dragging on. I'm anxious to get, back to work because, Sarah, as you probably know, when as a photographer or any creative person, when you're sitting around too long, you kind of get stale, from just
everything gets stale. Every head to toe, you just like your body feels stale. Nothing is working properly. It's just, so I get it. I totally get it.
Like a Ferrari in the garage, just sitting there, ready to run. So
yeah, being fed 87 gasoline.
Yeah.
Right. When you need 95.
Right. Well, speaking of being fed, so Joan, my wife, feeds us very well. She's a great cook.
Awesome.
So we're eating very, very well. And in her industry, my wife is a producer, production manager for Grace and Frankie on Netflix, if you're familiar with the show. And so her whole industry is shut down also. So we're both, home and, just unemployed, waiting for production. Wow. To get back in gear. And at her level with big shows, those are very, very big shows with huge crews. They're starting up much slower, much more carefully, than a smaller production like mine.
Wow. Well, it certainly has hit everybody a little bit different, and we've got to be creative. And I love what you're doing to take advantage of the time together, right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
So it is good. We're getting a driving getaway to Napa to hang out with the family next week.
Okay.
So that's good.
Napa just happens to be a beautiful place. I mean, that's not bad.
Yes. Yes.
Are you driving up the coastline or more on the highway?
No, we'll take the 5. We'll take the quick way.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's not the scenic route, but
you never know what you're going to get on the scenic route right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Go. Get there.
Okay, so I think this is going to happen, the whole conversation we have here, Robert, but there was a time, you mentioned just a little while ago that you're always optimistic, and I love that about you. And there's something that registers in my mind that was a really, really big thing for me back in the day that I had to bring to your attention. And you were so optimistic and considerate that it made my world. And to think that at this time in my life, I still think about it and I remember exactly what was going on. And you probably don't remember, and maybe you do when I tell this story, but I got to tell the story and brag on you because you were just really, you eased me as a new model and someone. So, as someone in this industry, we never want to tell a photographer or magazine that we're not ready to shoot or there's something wrong or whatever, and back then you didn't have the editing that is available now. So we're talking like, this was either 99 or the year 2000, right in there. So both, you and Sarah, I'm sure can think like, okay, what was editing back then? And Sarah, maybe you don't even know. I don't know. But,
I was on the other side at that time.
Right.
On the other side of the camera. But yes.
So
where
Robert
are you going
knows.
with it? Yeah, he absolutely knows.
So Robert, you and I had a photo shoot set up. And I believe it was either Flex or Muscle and Fitness. It was probably Muscle and Fitness because I believe at that point you were Muscle Fitness photographer, a contracted photographer, which I know we're going to talk about here a little bit. But we had a shoot set up, and it was probably about 9:00 at night, maybe 8:30, and I had been so stressed out all day because I had like a fever blister on my nose right here. Right. And I finally called you and I was like in tears the whole day. And I might start crying now because it was such a big thing for me. And I remember calling you and or maybe I paged you. Back then I think we had pagers. And I remember you calling me back or we got on the phone, however it was. And I just was like, Robert, I have to share something really big with you that's really hard for me to tell you. And who knows what you were thinking. But in my mind, it was like this giant thing, that was going to cripple my career, the big SeaWorld cripple. Like I would never get called again. And how dare you be, somebody with a disease or something, right? And so I told you, I said I had this cold sore on my nose and I felt that, I wouldn't be at my best in the photo shoot because I was so insecure about this thing on my nose. And back then it wasn't like, oh, we can go in and edit that. No big deal. It was just like, I remember seeing the Polaroids, that you'd see, and that's what you saw. And I was like, there's no way I can shoot tomorrow with this big thing on my nose. And I was so upset. And you were so kind. And I didn't call you till like 8:30 or 9 at night because I didn't know how to tell you. And I was so devastated by this. And mind you, I was in my late 20s and still new to the industry. And you don't tell Muscle and Fitness you're not ready to shoot, especially the photographer. But I called you and told you, and you were very, very thoughtful, kind. And you were like, no big deal. We can move it to another week. Next week's fine. And I just probably took the deepest breath, and I probably had tears coming down my eyes. And I remember exactly where I was in my apartment. And I just wanted to let you know that was really big for me, because it helps me moving forward to learn to tell other people, you've got to be honest about things, and you've got to share something that is, a hard thing to talk about, or a reason you can't, you got to speak up and have a voice. You can't just, fake it, because photography captures your inside in your eyes and on your face. And I know that there was no way at that point I could have shot and had a good expression on my face that wasn't one of wanting to just shut down, hide, and not be seen, which was not really who I was. But with that on my nose, that's how I felt.
Absolutely. Well,
and
thank you for sharing that.
You were so considerate. You were just like, oh my gosh, no big deal. We can shoot next week. Just get over it and call me back. Let's set it up for next week. And I was like, oh, I felt like I had, earned a whole year in my life. So I probably did.
Aww.
Well, I'm glad to hear that now. Thank you for sharing that with the world. You run into every kind of a situation, really, as a photographer. And Sarah, you've probably run into a lot of situations, and you really have to learn how to deal with it. People are people. Sure, you need to get the job done, but you're also, dealing with human beings, and you have to make some judgment calls, and you have to, usually make them very quickly. So over the years, I've just learned, Yeah,
you learned what it takes.
It just comes with the territory.
And you got to roll with it, and just kind of not overthink about it, and just execute. It just make everybody feel comfortable. Whatever works for everyone. You just kind of have to shell that out, because there's no reason to do it any other way.
Right. Yeah,
well, and I think the biggest thing for me back then was, number one, being honest about it with you, because the last thing a model wants to do is to tell a photographer who, has a say-so in their career that something's wrong with them, or that they're not ready or whatever. And I heard stories about girls showing up that weren't ready to show up, and then photographers going, oh my gosh, I can't use her pictures, and she's here. Right. And I think that happened to you a few times, where you were just like, I'm going to shoot this girl because I can't be rude to her, but her pictures will never go in the magazine. So that's a whole nother story of you having to do the work.
It's better that you're honest, that you feel good about it, because if you don't feel good, the pictures aren't going to look good. If it's a super time crunch and it was the only time we could shoot, let's say, it was the day after the Olympia or something, and we were at some gorgeous location, and it's not like we were ever going to go back there. Yep. Then I would have approached it differently. So you have to analyze every part of the situation before you make a judgment call.
Right. Well, 100%. You're very gracious of that. And so I want to just kind of dive in a little bit to some of the background on you, because, up to today, I knew that you'd been a professional photographer for a while, but I did not realize 47 years as a professional photographer. And of course, talking about, all that you've done between fashion, real estate, high-end real estate and architectural photography, food, nutrition, bodybuilding, fitness, figure, bikini, everything you can imagine. And I'm sure, and of course, lifestyle and headshots and glamour. There's across the board, you've shot everything. And so as a model, I really probably can't relate to that real well. So I wanted Sarah, who has done photography for almost 15 years. Yeah. And she was a real estate agent. with some photography there. Like, I think Sarah probably has some great questions that she's curious about that would be fun to hear about. So Sarah, I'm going to let you ask some questions there and dive in a little bit about that background.
I'm just going to dive in like a mermaid. We're just going to do it like that. So before I even started photography, I was a high-end realtor in North Scottsdale, Arizona, which is where I currently reside. So I know about all the detail of these wonderful, fine, beautiful, high-end homes, right? So this is way before I started any photography, but I would just admire these homes. And then the market crashed in 2008, and I was a party to that, like most of the United States was. Started Picture Groove in 2008, and just 2-3 years ago, I was commissioned by Scottsdale, Arizona's most recognized realtor. And I won't say what his name is, but he only does that super, super, super high-end brochure type real estate transactions, right? So his listings in Scottsdale are, in the multiple millions of dollars. So he hires the realtors that will capture all of that. And I gave it a shot, and I'm just, man, that is a different kind of ball game from where I'm at. This was only 2-3 years ago, like I said. Right. So I've still been, shooting people in the fitness and fashion world for 10 years up until this opportunity happened. And I realized that it's a very, very extended, slow shutter speed. You've got to have your little adapter attached to your camera, and you're like in the negatives with the shutter speed and, the f-stops and all that stuff. I just simply could not get the final product that the realtor wanted. And that takes a special type of retouching. So how did you feel about that? That's different. That's a whole lot different than shooting people.
Well, it's definitely a lot different. And it was really a lot different for, honestly, when I was doing it at the level I was doing it at. Because when I was mainly doing that, it was through the 1980s and into the 1990s. Mm-hmm. I did it a lot. So, but that was back in the days of film. And so you didn't get a chance to actually see your results until maybe the next day.
Even more so. How did you even deal with that? Because
it's definitely nerve-wracking. I mean, I did shoots for a lot of big developers, real estate developers. I got sent around the country, sometimes around the world. I mean, I did an amazing trip in Australia photographing a high-end resort, where I was there for an entire week. They gave me every kind of transportation at my disposal for pictures. I had a helicopter, cars, golf carts, boats. I mean, literally whatever I needed at my disposal to shoot this resort. But, the thing with architecture, and again, back in the film days, everything had to be very precise. Now with digital, you can layer things together very easily in post-production, which there wasn't really. If you were going to put layer together, you had to layer together on the film, which was very, very tricky.
Sure.
Your exposures had to be like dead on within 1/4 of an f-stop, which doesn't mean anything to somebody who's not a technical person. But the bottom line is, if your lighting wasn't like perfectly right on, and your composition and your timing, if you had to shoot something at dusk or at sunrise, I mean, there was a lot of work, a lot of stress, and I did an intense amount of that. Like I said, for developers traveling around, I did a lot in California, but all around the country. And then besides that, I did a lot of very high-end real estate, all the big estates in Bel Air, Malibu, Beverly Hills. So, I mean, the places that I saw, were like the real mega mansions, and lighting them was tricky. They had to bring in somebody.
Robert, unpack that suitcase for us. What does that even look like for you to get to Bel Air and realize what you have to do? Like, unpack it. Tell us what that looks like. You've got your lighting, and this is in the late 60s?
No, this was in the 1980s.
Oh, in the 80s. Still.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it took a lot of lighting. As Monica pointed out, the name of my company is Magic Light. So Magic Light actually comes from two different things. Sarah, you probably know it as the golden hour, is referred to as the magic light
time,
when the sun is setting or at dawn, when you get that golden light. in the industry that's called Magic Light. And also, to me, Magic Light is just because lighting is something that I'm known for. I've spent a lot of time, developing my lighting techniques, and something I pride myself in. It's not just.
I'd say you figured it out.
I figured it out.
You figured it out. You got it.
So a lot. I tended to have to use a lot of light for architecture. When I eventually segued into, shooting fitness and bodybuilding, and I'd be on location, and Monica, you could attest to this, you've been on a lot of the location shoots for me in houses. I look at everything, I look at the whole picture. So I'm lighting the person. First, you have to do beauty lighting on the person, then you have to do physique lighting on the person, and then I would need architectural lighting, in my mind, on the place, because it needs to be a photo whether or not there's somebody in the picture. And then we're adding a beautiful person or a great physique on top of that. So it's a photo within a photo within a photo.
I must give you a compliment real quick. You're kind of like, okay, for lack of a better term, you are the Hugh Hefner of fitness lighting. You know how Playboy developed their own beautiful, beautiful system of lighting with Arnie Freytag and all of those people that worked on Playboy.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful, gorgeous lighting. But you had developed that same type of level of lighting over to the fitness industry so long ago, and it's sustained.
Thank you.
And that's what makes you is a sustainable, beautiful, patentable, gorgeous brand that no one can second guess.
Well, I appreciate that, and hopefully that's still what sets me apart, from people that are coming up. There's a lot of talented.
Don't worry, your business will be coming right back around.
That I respect very much. You do beautiful work, and but I try to, there's a lot that experience brings to the table, because what happens is, on a photo shoot as a professional, there's a lot of people that could take a great picture. Maybe they're going to get lucky. Maybe all the stars are going to be in alignment. The model is going to be fantastic. The magic light's going to be happening. They're in perfect, outfit or bathing suit or whatever. But the trick, what separates a professional photographer from somebody who's getting lucky on a photo shoot, is that they're able to produce shots consistently all day long under any circumstances.
Correct.
So, like, for example, when we did those big flex swimwear shoots, they're pretty intense from the photographer's standpoint. I know from the standpoint of the viewer, anybody looking at the magazine, everything looks very glamorous in the end. It's like, oh, well, there's this beautiful model in a bikini. But what they don't realize that there's really a lot of pressure to get to that point. There's all the pre-production, all the production that's happening, the timing, having to shoot when the light is bad. So it's not just shooting when the light is great. It's how do you produce great light in the worst part of the day, because we're shooting those big layouts all day long. When the sun is straight up, when it's horrible, you have to overcome that. So that's something that takes experience. It takes lighting, and it's not easy, but it's something that I enjoy. I enjoy the big challenges of the production and making it happen.
So, Robert, you remember this? Going back there.
Oh yeah, I do.
That was just one of the pictures from one of those photo shoots, and this series here, I think, was '97, and it was from one of those big days out on the beach, and you had 4 or 5 girls out there. We're all shooting, and like you said, you just went through all of us, and all pictures turned out amazing. And this is 99, but I believe this photo shoot here was from 97 from Muscle and Fitness, obviously. But, you had a special way. And I just have to go back and think about the fem camps that we did, like you mentioned earlier, where all of these girls coming from all over the world, because in LA specifically, these women would want to come and do a 3-day clinic, if you call it that, with me there in LA, in Gold's Gym Venice, with Robert Reiff, Magic Light photographer of Muscle and Fitness Flex. I mean, there was some big name stuff to come to, and we had women from all over the world come and spend a weekend with us. And I can't remember right now. We did fem camps from 2005, the very first one in LA, which I don't believe you were with us, but for most of all the remainder, like probably 75% of them in Los Angeles, you were our photographer, and we came to your studio. I think we started off in a hotel room, remember?
Yeah.
In Marina, and then you were like, well, why don't you come to my studio? And Saturday night we did the modeling 101, where you talked, the makeup artist talked, and I talked. And then we went into the photo shoot. We did a like a kind of a mock photo shoot so people could see how it was going to look. And then Sunday was the photo shoot. And these women would come, Sarah, and Sarah was a photographer for ours, Arizona Fem Camp. We were in someone's home, but we would have in LA sometimes 30 girls come, and majority, 90% of these women had never done a photo shoot, and they get to get in front of Robert Reiff in his studio with the makeup rooms and the change rooms, and where magazine covers are developed, where articles are developed, and these women would get to come. And it was such an amazing opportunity for all these women for years to come to the studio and be a model with a muscle and fitness photographer. And of course, with that guy, right? I know that's not your only claim to fame, but I mean, that's a big thing for these women that are in the fitness industry or wanting to be or have visions of it. So it was a really cool opportunity for these women. And, you and I worked so well together. And here's one of the things I remember about Robert. You get in front of his camera, and it's probably rough 5 to 10 minutes where he's setting up the lighting. You're standing there thinking, and if you don't know, all you're thinking is that I'm not in good enough shape. I'm not what he's going to look for. I'm not good enough to shoot, because he's working on the lighting. He's tweaking. He does some test shoots, tweaking. And if you didn't know any different, all of a sudden you get if you're a new model, you get a little insecure because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not right. But mind you, all Robert's doing is he's setting up the very best lighting and photo for that model. And you have to be patient. And then all of a sudden the magic starts. And Robert starts going, yes! And he's smiling, and his face is exploding with a smile. And he's like, that's it, hold that. And he goes nuts.
Wow. I would have never thought that about you, Robert. No. I thought that you were just more of like a quiet, like, hi, my name's Robert kind of guy.
No. Robert lets you know you are the best thing since sliced bread all day long. You feel like you are the queen of the photo shoot, and it is dynamic between you and Robert. And I love that about Robert, because there's so many photographers that just sit there and they like point, shoot, and they expect you to move, and they don't tell you anything, or they don't really get involved and make it like a twosome with the camera, or however you want to call it. Like with Robert, he's involved, and it's it's you and him, and this camera is nothing in between you. And it's beautiful. And the work that he comes out with, the work that comes on the other side of it is just, miraculous.
Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Again, it's true that you really, directing the model is like such a key part of the whole thing. And a lot of photographers don't realize, well, they either don't know how to direct, they don't realize that.
Right.
And so the same model, I don't care how great their condition is, if we're talking about physique models, or bodybuilders, if you're not directing them right and lighting them right and putting them in the right situation, they're not going to look their best, even if they're there on their best day.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's something that has to be learned and acquired.
So I have a couple of pictures I'm going to flash out, but before that, I completely forgot, because I was so excited about introducing you and talking to you. I completely forgot. Here's how this next little bit's going to go, everybody. Okay. And I just want to give a good little shout out to our viewers. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. And I see there's some questions.
I don't have my glasses on. I can't
It's okay, honey. You don't have, Sarah, you don't have to. We got some questions coming up here, and I know we're going to get back to some of these questions. And I just want to thank our viewers for joining us tonight and hanging with us and celebrating Mr. Robert Reiff and Magic Life Productions. But Seriously. Before that, I have...
And we're going to tour the studio.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. So if I can keep my head on straight, my thoughts correct here. We've got 2 giveaways tonight for my sponsors. Actually, we have 3, but 2 of them are right now. And I meant to say these earlier in the show. So those of you viewing right now, the first one to come up with these answers wins the giveaways, one from Egg White International and one's from Legendary Food. So I don't care if you've already played this game and y'all have won before, you can always use a new product, right? So, and if you want to win it and then give it away, but the way we win is by answering the question correctly first on the comments, not direct messaging me, but on the comments. If you put your answer, that would be amazing. So our 2 questions, number 1 for Egg White International, what was the name of the fitness book that yours truly, Monica Brant, authored, and Robert Reiff did the photo shoot for, cover and inside training photos? So what's the title of this book? Okay. And the second question, I'll just say these are for USA residents. I'm sorry if you're in another country. I can't ship to you. I hope you understand that. The second question for Legendary Foods, which has amazing little flavored nuts and almonds, and Robert's like thumbs up. You must know about Legendary Foods. It's so good. Nut butters and all the good stuff. Tasty pastries. If you like Pop-Tarts, these are healthy Pop-Tarts. Okay, so what color were my eyeballs in the Flex magazine cover that I shot with Robert as well in the early 2000s? So my eyes were changed colors. So what color were they? So the first person to come in with either answer, a color of the magazine, my eyeballs, and the name of my fitness book that I authored and Robert Reiff shot the inside and the cover for, please post it. At the end of the show, I'm going to announce the winners and you guys will receive your prizes. And I think what we're going to do right now is I'm going to just flash a couple pictures across the screen. Do you remember these? There's one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here's one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about this? This is the only time I did lingerie and I felt comfortable with Robert Reiff.
That's hot.
I definitely remember that.
And this was the only time I was like, you know what? I think I'm not going to do this again. But
do you see that right there? What I'm talking about? That's like almost like Playboy type lighting right there.
Right.
It is.
But
But for fitness,
better.
it's even better.
Way better.
Yeah,
What about this? One of my favorites right here. Whoops, let me go this way.
Oh, there you are.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
in your studio, Robert. Remember?
I know.
Those were,
Right
and
where
then,
we are.
yeah, and there's one more here. I mean,
Oh,
Robert,
yeah.
you could shoot you could have like 10 different shots within one. Oh, one more, just because I've got it here in front of me. And of course, Robert, we've shot so many other things together, but those were just.
It's unbelievable. When I was looking through, I had forgotten how much we've shot, and we've shot so much.
I know. Well, I mean, we shot Flex magazine swimsuit 10 years in a row, and then of course all the other things encompassing that. Okay, so what I want to do real quick is I want to do apples to apples, rapid fire questions. And Robert, what I've done tonight is I'm going to ask both of you these questions. So
Okay.
you're gonna answer first.
All right.
And then Sarah's going to answer. And I think it's going to be really fun just to hear the difference in your question answers.
You ready,
Y'all-
Robert? Do this.
Yeah.
High five.
Okay.
High five.
Okay. Okay, and I'm going to try to do this as fast as possible because it's supposed to be rapid fire. But
Okay.
Okay. Who is easier to photograph prior to competition, the male bodybuilder or the female competitor? Robert?
I'm going to say the male.
Ooh. Okay. Sarah?
I'm going with female because there's many reasons about male bodybuilders that
And name one.
well, sometimes they get gassy right before competition. And it's like too many protein shakes or something just happened. It's all that. But no, anyways, females in my experience.
Okay. Robert, out of
Yes.
all the male bodybuilders that you have photographed, which physique did you admire most?
Wow, that's really a tough one. I mean, Flex Wheeler certainly comes to mind.
Yes.
you know, there's so many. Francis Benfato, who you shot with, you know, had an amazing physique.
Yes.
Sarchev.
Yep.
You know, it's just, I know I'm going to be insulting people by the people I forget.
No,
Because
but okay, real quick, what about the present? Because you're talking about old school, but what about the present?
well, you know, I mean, honestly, I am not as much working with bodybuilders, oddly
Okay.
enough. So,
Well, physique. Okay, that's fine. Hey, you know what? Flex Wheeler was on my show here, and he was so much fun to talk to. We got to talk maybe 5 weeks ago or
and
something.
Sean Ray also, by the way, who's another one with a great physique who was on your show.
Last week, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's fabulous. I mean, a lot of these people had very aesthetic physiques, which is hard to get, you know. So
Absolutely.
I definitely appreciate that. Kevin Levrone had an amazing physique and was
Right.
always one of the best posers, you know, because some men can pose better than others.
Right.
So that makes your job a lot easier. Whoop! I got a little fruit fly in front of me.
I think I've got your cousin sometimes. I'm like swishing here too. I'm like, wait. All right, Sarah, what about you, female? And I mean, take me out of the picture because, you know.
Obviously, we know who my favorite is. However, there was also, I think for me, Candace Keene had one of the most beautiful physiques ever, as far as a pro figure competitor goes. Candace Keene. And then I've also worked with a lot of wonderful, beautiful physiques that had nothing to do with the fitness industry that, you know, wouldn't be recognized if I was to announce who they were. But, you know, there's so many faces and there's so many poses that I remember. It's not a whole lot of the physique, but more the faces and the poses for me.
All right. I'm going to go on. What is the number one thing, Robert, that your spouse, Joan, does to help you be the best version of yourself?
Wow. Well, she does so much for me, so that's hard to pinpoint.
I like that. Wow.
That was a good wow.
I like that.
But, you know, she's very, very supportive. You know, she's always behind what I want to do. And I think that's, you know, she's by my side all the time and she's always thinking about me, you know, which is something very important, you know,
Right.
for your spouse. So she's beautiful and, you know, she's got a lot of energy and we just love being together. So.
Aw, I like that. That's perfect. I like, you know, the first thing said it all. Wow. Like, because I knew that meant like, oh my gosh, how do I pick one thing?
Yeah.
That is awesome. Okay,
That's
Sarah.
amazing.
One thing, Sarah.
What? I only get one?
One thing. Yes. One thing. This must be rapid fire. One thing.
I know.
Barry does.
My wonderful husband, it's the same thing, Robert. The amount of support matters the most, you know. When you're an artist especially, it's very hard to find someone that understands what you're doing, understands what your business is all about. And so my husband, fortunately, just kind of lifts me up and allows me to do it without asking too many questions or without getting in my way. He wants me to learn. He wants me to evolve. So it's a very good quality that I have in my guy.
I like it. Okay, Robert, what is your finest professional photography moment? If you could pick one, can you pick one?
Well, it is hard to pick one because I've been fortunate to have so many great ones. But one comes to mind, which was right here in this room, was shooting Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yes.
Seriously.
And Joe
Who
Weider.
does that?
Robert does.
He
Yeah.
does that. He's the only one that does that.
So Arnold was here while he was the governor, as
Ah,
he's fondly referred to.
right.
And he came here with his whole entourage. They did the security sweep before they came here, you know, with the sniffing dogs and checking, you know, that
Cool.
everything was safe. And, you know, the funny thing about this, after all of the security that they did, I have a little back door to the studio also.
Hmm.
And partway through the shoot, he's like, I really want to smoke a cigar. Can I just sit by the door? So all of a sudden, he's just sitting by the door with no security after they put so much pressure on, you know, the security. Anyway, he was amazing to shoot. Just to touch on that, I know this
Okay.
is rapid fire, and I'm
That's
slowing
okay.
you down.
That's okay. It's okay. It's all about you right now.
Doesn't have to be that rapid. That's a lot of
But,
information.
you know, Arnold is truly, I mean, he's one of these characters, people that really is bigger than life. And he's also very professional when he's in front of the camera. I had worked with him a number of times, so we already had a little bit of a rapport, which is great. But the first thing he said to me, which is like music to any photographer's ears, is just direct me. Just tell me what to do. So as big as he is and as big as his ego is, he's also realizes that he needs to take direction, and he takes direction very well. And he's going to improvise off of that. But I had specific things I wanted and needed him to do. He was very, very cooperative. He stayed way longer than he was supposed to. His publicist was giving me eyes like daggers that were like knives. Like, why are you guys still here talking?
Because he enjoyed talking to you.
And so
That's awesome.
So we spent a lot of time talking. Joe Weider was here. Peter McGuff, the editor of Flex, was here.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really a momentous time. And can I throw one other?
Yes.
Yeah. So
all day long.
Also, when I was the photographer on Purple Rain, with Prince, and that was way back in 1983.
Wow.
I definitely will never forget that experience. I won't ever forget the winter. It was probably the coldest winter. I'm not even exaggerating. It's probably the coldest winter since that time. I mean, the whole thing was filmed in Minneapolis, and it was sometimes there was a whole week of getting up. I remember they said, and today's high will be minus 60.
Oh,
wow.
So,
wow.
What?
So okay, I know. So you said you were the photographer on Purple Rain. So you shot Prince?
Yes, I shot Prince. I don't know if can we throw up, Coda, do you have
that?
Are you able to put up one of those shots of him, or
it might take him a minute, but so did you shoot like was it just images? There's me. Or did you shoot something for his albums, or what was it?
I was what was called the set photographer. I was the only still photographer on the set. So the movie was filmed.
Oh, the movie.
The movie Purple Rain.
Okay.
So during the movie, however, there were 2 full weeks. So all of the music that you hear and see in the movie Purple Rain was, there we go.
There.
I can't even deal with that.
The story. So this is a very unusual story, actually, because this had nothing to do with the movie. This is a scene that I set up right in the middle of production. What ended up happening is, honestly, that the first day that I was shooting, I'm there as a set photographer, meaning that I'm taking pictures of Prince and everything that's happening. I was the only photographer allowed on the set for the 3-month period. The first day we were filming in the woods, and I started taking pictures of Prince on his motorcycle, and immediately his bodyguards and his producers rushed right up to me, and they go, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm taking pictures of Prince. You know,
hello, I'm a photographer here.
I'm the guy you hired to be here."
Right.
And they said, "Well, didn't we tell you?" And then I said, "Well, tell me what." They said, "Well, Prince doesn't want his picture taken."
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I said.
Okay. Why is there a photographer here?
What are you supposed to do?
I said, "Well, what am I going to do for 3 months? Isn't he like in the entire film?" So they're like, "Well, you're just going to have to work around him and shoot everybody else except for Prince." So instead of being intimidated by that, because again, it comes down to you have to, think fast as a photographer. Mm-hmm. So you can't let the situation necessarily intimidate you. Once you lose control over the situation, then you're done. You're done as a photographer. You're not going to get anywhere. So instead of just ignoring that, I took it upon myself to walk up to Prince on my own right after they told me not to take his picture. So I walked up to him, and he was actually very introverted personally. And I apologized, for photographing him. I explained to him I introduced myself. I just said my name is Robert, I'm sorry, nobody explained that you didn't want your picture taken. I just made it clear to him. I said, when you're ready, I'm here. Just let me know. And I just walked away and I left it like that. So weeks went by, and I was avoiding him. I was taking great shots of everybody else, all the other band members, and everybody, all the other people in the cast, taking great shots that they were loving. And here we are now in the club doing all the club scenes, and I was sitting in the very back of the club. I'll never forget. I was on top of a bar in the very back of the club. Prince is on stage performing Purple Rain, live, for the filming. He stops the filming. I'm not even joking. He starts yelling out, Robert.
No way.
And I'm like,
Who's Robert?
My name's Robert.
I'm like looking around, and the whole set was lit very moody, and I'm literally pointing at myself, like, me?
Who, me?
And he's like, yes. And he's like, come up here. So I walked up to the stage, and I just said to him, what's up?
What's up?
Perfect.
What's up?
Action.
And
what do you want?
He just said, I'm ready.
Okay.
Because he remembered what I said during my introduction to him. I said, when you're ready, just let me know. And he had gotten to the point that he had seen all the other pictures I had taken. He felt at ease with me. So at that point, I took complete control of the entire lighting crew, which is, a large lighting crew on the movie.
Yeah.
And I came up with that scene that you just saw.
That's what I'm talking about.
There it is again. So those are two mannequins. I just said I want mannequins here. I want smoke machine there. I want lighting. So he had those sunglasses on, the mirror sunglasses. He didn't want to take them off. And at the very end of the shoot was very fast. You got to imagine, too, I had an entire large film crew, which is very expensive. Every 10 minutes gets very expensive. So I had to really work fast, think fast. So I was directing him. He was listening to everything I said. And then I said, let me see your eyes. And that's when that picture was taken. And then he just said, you and me tomorrow, I want to see the pictures in the dressing room.
That's history. That picture is a piece of history. You know that, right?
Anyway,
well, you've built your career on history.
And from that day forward, the entire rest of the film, so that broke the barrier that he had, now we had a rapport.
Right.
And from that point on, I took thousands of pictures, of him, and we worked great together for the rest of the movie.
Oh, man. That's such a cool story, Robert. Okay, I have a very small little weird story. I was in a bar in 94 with about 5 girlfriends. We were from Texas, went to visit. Prince came in and he sat at this little bitty booth all by himself, and he had about 30 guards around him, and he sat in the booth, and I just thought, how can someone sit like that and be in here, and they got to be so lonely? It's all I could think about. And that was in 1994.
Right.
I mean, nothing like what you did, but I'm just like, that was an experience. I was like, I'd never been around Hollywood people, and I thought, that's got to be so lonely. You're sitting in a booth all by yourself. You had all these people like surrounding the booth so no one could see him, but we saw him walk in, and then we knew he was there, and it was just like, how sad. But he just probably didn't trust anyone. But here he is, opened himself up to you because you introduced yourself and gave him the opportunity to trust you, and you just proved yourself, and that's pretty cool. That's like Sarah said, as a history making opportunity. How cool is that? And sad that he's no longer with us. He was quite a
he was
musician.
So prolific as a musician, as a singer.
Oh.
I mean, there's nobody ever like him, past or future.
Right. I remember watching that movie, Robert, probably 2 years ago. I was here by myself at home, and I think I saw it, and I was like, I've never seen this movie. It was late at night. I stayed up, kind of late watching it, and it just after that, because it's him portraying himself.
Right.
And it just leaves you to this, like, you're just kind of thought provocative. I've always loved history, and I've always loved things that are true, kind of based off truth, and it's really intriguing. So I I did watch that movie. So now thinking about you being there, like, and having that opportunity and being that person for him, how that must have felt for you and for him to also. So that's a cool story. I didn't know that about you.
Very, very, very cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. The whole experience was amazing. It was kind of a groundbreaking film. They did airbrushing makeup, which is really the first time anybody had used airbrush makeup that widely, especially for commercial usage. So all of the extras in the nightclub were all their face makeup was airbrushed on.
Wow. And it was like graffiti kind of, right? They would do like a big black wedge or something, like exactly. Real Nuevo, Moderno kind of thing. Kind of. Right. That's kind of how it looked on there. New Wave.
So that was cool. So that was an amazing experience, but it also made me realize I never wanted to work on a movie again.
That's it.
I mean, it's the thing with working on the movie as a photographer is, to me, I'm not the one creating the scene, the lighting. I'm not really as much in control. I'm not directing. I'm not producing, which is really what I had been doing. I mean, I was offered that position by one of the producers after, he loved one of the shoots I did of another actress he was working with. And, but I just realized that even though I could have gotten into the union with that movie, that I just knew that it wasn't for me. So I decided to just call it a, one-time great experience, which it was, and then, get back to freelancing.
Okay, so before I go on, was it you that told me you shot Chuck Norris and you were only allowed so many flashes?
That was with, not Chuck Norris, with Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood? That's right. I always thought it was Chuck Norris, but okay.
No, that was me, and that was a very interesting.
You've done enough flashes. You can't do any more flashes. You only get 50 flashes.
That was really wild because, I was photographing Clint Eastwood out of his production company, Mariposa, in Burbank. And they gave me this extremely small office to set up as a studio. I mean, it was so small. It had a desk in it, and there was just enough room for like somebody to sit behind the chair on one side and somebody to stand on the other side of the desk. It was like, let's say about a 10 by 10 foot office. So I set up what was really a relatively elaborate lighting setup in this tiny office, to create the mood that I wanted. In fact, I'm sorry I didn't send you that picture to put up, but anyway, it's on my website.
Okay.
But anyway, so Clint comes into this little office and he looks at my lighting. And he says, wow. He says, like, this is really an amazing setup you did here.
You're like, yeah.
So anyway, this is in the days of film. I was shooting what's called medium format, 2 1/4 inches by 2 3/4 inch film, which is I frequently shot, to get better quality. And the rolls of film had 20 shots on the roll. But you use the first 2 frames. You used to cut off the first 2 frames and do what's called a snip test, which meant you would develop just the first 1 or 2 frames in a lab, and then you could adjust your exposure on the entire roll. You could make it like a 1/4 of a stop or a 1/2 a stop brighter or darker to try to get it closer to where you need to be. Anyway, the point is I was barely into this 20 roll shot, piece of film when one of his people who was standing right outside the door comes into me and says something like, well, you can only take, like 4 more shots. And I had probably taken like about 15 shots only so far. I was literally just warming up,
Oh, no.
And I'm like, what do you mean? He says, well, Clint's eyes are very sensitive to flashes, and he can only take 20 flashes. I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me that before?
Total? Like, is that the total number, or can we do rounds of 20?
Yeah, so that was the total number. And, I would have, it's like, when the genie says, here's 3 wishes, you use your 3 wishes wisely. I would have used my 20 shots a little bit more wisely. I would have been a little more careful.
Would have had a stand-in double there first.
Well, no, there was nothing wrong with the lighting.
Oh.
It had nothing to do with the lighting. It's just, you're trying to get somebody warmed up, and then you're trying to move in a certain, as you know, there's a chemistry, and the shoot kind of evolves. And the thing that was interesting, after the shoot, he probably spent about an hour talking to me. So he wasn't.
You're like, we can still be shooting.
It's not that he was in. There was no shooting going on. It's not that he was in a hurry to get out of there. It was really what he said. In fact, he asked me to take a picture. When we get to my office, when we tour around, I do have a snapshot. He asked me to take a snapshot, just, of him outside with a license plate, which I did. But anyway, it was just one of those. Fortunately, I got some great shots, within the 20 shots. So I don't regret it. And it all worked out in the end.
Well, I am so excited to hear those stories. It's so fun, Robert, to hear what you've done. And I mean, I know that these were supposed to be rapid fire questions, but hello, they're
like the historical version of rapid fire questions. Sorry, there's way too much history.
These are just questions. We're wiping out the rapid fire. So, okay, Sarah, you do have rapid fire though. One moment for you that was your finest photography moment. You get one word. I'm just kidding.
Right. I know. It's okay if he has them all. He can have all the words because he's got so much more history than I do. But are we talking photography business moment or photography shoot moment? You get one word. Body Skit magazine. That's what I was going to say. Or being hired to photograph the Tilted Kilt calendar, for 2 years in a row. That was fun. It's a multinational chain, so that was cool. Absolutely. I got hired to shoot with them for 2 years in a row, and my work was across 106 pubs across North America. So that was pretty groundbreaking for me and what I do. Yeah,
absolutely, love that. Robert, any special talents no one knows that you can perform?
Talents I can't. Well, let's see. Wow.
Can you roll your tongue?
I can't.
Or touch your forehead with your heels or something like that?
I can actually. I grew up playing music.
So okay.
There's a number of instruments I could play. All the reed instruments: oboe, saxophone, clarinet.
Wow. Okay, that is impressive. I had no idea about that.
I was the lead solo clarinetist in my high school orchestra, which had about 80 pieces in it. Wow. And I play a little bit of acoustic guitar, but I haven't been doing that lately. But I should get back to it.
Get back to it. Go, Sarah.
My son pointed it out when I was trying to come up with things to do during this pandemic. He's like, "Oh, you should get back to the guitar."
Well, you should serenade Joan with that.
Yeah. In fact, so anyway, there you go. That's my little unknown talent.
I love it. Okay, Sarah, what about any special talents that you can perform no one knows about?
Well, I think you know about it. That's probably about it. It's just doing funny accents and turning into character.
Yes.
That's kind of fun and creating very colorful vocabulary and characters. I like that.
You have a very fun way with words. All right, so I am going to wrap up our apples to apples here. We're going to take a very, very short break. We're going to come back. I want to see the tour, Robert, that you have for us of your studio and any other pictures you want to showcase for us. And we're going to take a really quick break, and we'll come back and we're going to check to see what we've got over here with any questions that we make sure we answer. And then I do have a special question for you at the end to wrap it up. And that's where we're going to go. So guys, don't go away. And unless you have to go to the bathroom, but come right back. Oh, don't go to the bathroom. Hold it.
Hey guys, we're super excited to be here at the LA Fit Expo. It's our third year in a row. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be launching the Tasty Pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs. And we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
All right, we're back on. There's Robert Reiff. You have had the best information and stories for us. I really, really love all that I'm hearing. So I want to go and just thank you, our sponsors, real quick. But we have one winner for one giveaway. We have not had a winner for What Color Were My Eyes for the Flex magazine cover that Robert and I did together. And I'm going to just flash it by in case that helps somebody get the color. Okay, somebody's got to win this prize. I mean, come on. What color were my eyes?
That's rapid fire.
Huh?
That's totally not that rapid.
No.
No. Okay, someone's got to win this. I mean, come on, just guess a color if you can't figure it out. It's not my normal color, but it's something else. It's kind of fun. All right, so moving forward, Robert, I think you have a little, just you wanted to show us your I can't even talk, your studio.
Yeah, I just figured I'd give everybody a quick
I've been
tour
there.
Oh,
I've been in that kitchen many times.
So this is where I'm sitting here. Whoop. Sorry, this whole thing.
It's okay.
There's
You're
no
doing
way to flip this.
You're doing a great job, Robert.
Okay, so here we go. This is the kitchen.
Yes, all the
I'm trying
magic
to get
happens in the
myself out
kitchen.
of it.
We
So
like
I
seeing
do-
you. It's okay.
I do a lot of food photography.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to build a kitchen set. This is a working kitchen set inside the studio. The window is an interior window, meaning it's inside the studio, so I can light it and put a blue sky out there.
perfect.
So
It's awesome.
am I losing this signal?
It's
There we go.
okay. You're good.
Yeah, this is the little waiting room when you first come in.
Right.
And then so this is a concrete wall. Everything's a background. This concrete wall is for shooting. The whole thing slides open and moves over to over here. I've got a big garage door for loading all the equipment, which is great because there's a lot of gear that has to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Natural light scenes.
So I designed this whole studio. I put in these skylights. Speaking of natural light,
Yeah.
so
Very pretty.
That skylight slides shut from the inside. There's another skylight in here. This is the main shooting area. This is where all the magic happens.
That's right. I've been there. I don't know how many times. Very cool.
You've been here many times. So yeah.
Yep.
So this is the main shooting area. Lots of time. This is polished concrete. I can hang my background on these poles. And then there's the slatted wall that you showed a picture of yourself in front of.
Yep. There it is.
There's also a lot of power here, which is important since I do use a lot of lighting.
Right. Yes.
So these are special power boxes.
Yep.
2 bathrooms, which is important.
Important for girls and boys.
So yeah, so everything's a background, as you can see.
Yes.
And as we go down the hall, now we're going to the makeup room. So speaking of the girls, this is where the girls like to hang out.
That's right. We get in
Wonder
there.
why.
Yeah. All the clothes, all the makeup, the hair. There's a bathroom, full bathroom, change room, and we're all in there like gagging like little chickens. Look at all the clothes. Look at this. Look at that. You know,
So
and then heading out.
This was actually a large shower and a bathtub, but it's now storage because I needed the storage more than the bathtub.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
And now, moving down the way here, so there's a little room in the back, which is a combination of a gym area. Let's see.
It goes on and on and on.
Everything is backwards here on this camera. So
it's good. We can still see.
So here's just a fraction. I don't even know how many covers. I've probably done like thousands of covers.
That's right. That's right.
These have been up here for a while. They've faded, quite a bit. But I did a lot for Black Belt magazine over the years, which to me was always very exciting, working with martial artists because they're amazing athletes. The Box magazine, which was CrossFit, Reps and Maximum Fitness, and Muscle and Performance. Muscle and Performance, I worked with Alex Neruzzi for many, many years, a very talented creative director and friend of mine who I love working with. We did a lot of great work together. My good friend Koya Webb, who is amazing in the world of yoga and nutrition. So I've just, as you can see, this is just a fraction, just a tip of the iceberg.
Right. All of your walls would be covered if you had
all the walls. This is just where I keep, some prop weights.
Oh, Robert, do you have those weights that are like really, really big but weigh like a pound?
Well, yes.
Where are those fake weights that are giant but they're really like super light?
Let me set this. Let me stabilize this camera here for a second.
Those are kind of fun. People don't realize those exist.
So these are the weights. Some of these are real. So this weight, which this is supposed to weigh, is that backwards? It's
25.
25.
It's supposed to be weigh, 25 pounds, but it weighs probably about 10 pounds, I'd say.
Those are good for us models when you're like, pull it up one more time, and it's like rep 50, and you're supposed to be acting like it's no big deal and smiling.
Especially these really big ones, because what happens is after the Olympia or after a competition, as you know, the athletes are very depleted. And when we're shooting all day long in the gym, it's very hard to lift heavy weights. So we had these weights custom made, which they really appreciate.
Yeah, because then they can look like they're lifting the weights that they would typically be lifting, but not really lifting that, which it still gets heavy after a while. Doing the same thing. It still
gets heavy, yeah.
Right.
And then moving down the hall here's a couple of shots, which I particularly,
I love that first one with the lighting, the trick lighting behind him.
Right.
That's
so
really
cool. This is shot right here in the studio where I created like a boxing ring effect. That's Sugar Shane Mosley. And that's Oscar de la Hoya. This was the one of Oscar de la Hoya was shot in his Lake Big Bear training camp. I got to spend the entire day in his training camp with him one-on-one, which was an amazing experience. I got to spend the entire day at the Olympic Training Center with Olympic athletes, which was amazing. Leela Brada.
Yep.
Also, when we talk about great physiques, Leela Brada had one of the all-time great physiques. He really just always nailed it.
And a Texan, I might add.
And a Texan. He has these pictures in his office blown up big. The Alexis brothers from the Cirque du Soleil.
Remember them?
Yep.
Wow.
Kevin Larone. And these are some downhill skiers.
Oh, wow. That's different.
And that was on train wheels. Now we go into my office. This is my little office here. This is something that we call books.
Books. Yes. Something we call books.
There may or may not be a book.
And something that's disappearing. And here's something else that's disappearing. Sadly, we call magazines.
I know. I Sarah and I have touched on that quite a few times. It's really sad to feel like those are going away. I think Muscle and Fitness had their last cover come out, their last official magazine a couple weeks back. A couple months anyways.
Here's a Muscle and Performance cover of Lauren Abraham, my good friend who I've been producing video apps with for the last 5 years. We're going to touch on that later in the conversation. This is the cover.
Love that. I just love that.
This is from the shoot that I did here with Arnold that I was telling you about. The poster on the wall right behind me was from that same shoot. This is also one of my very memorable shoots with Vince McMahon, from the owner of the WWE. And I spent the entire day shooting with him. I also worked for him for almost 2 years. That's a whole nother story.
Right.
In the early 90s, I was the photographer on what was called the WBF, the World Bodybuilding Federation. Corey Everson, one of my very close friends, an amazing person and athlete, who I really owe a lot to as well. She gave me a lot of opportunities. She was already at the top of the game in the 1980s, and she brought me into every project that she was doing, which was a lot. She brought me in as her photographer. She took me on trips to TV shows in Hawaii and Puerto Rico and Palm Springs, and just, really, when you have somebody supportive, it really makes a big difference. So, I always like helping people because everybody needs help. And I've been helped a lot, by people over the course of my career. And it's really a matter of making use of the opportunities. When hard work meets opportunities, you just have to step up to the plate and produce.
Absolutely.
That's really great, Robert.
So,
that's awesome.
And here, more importantly, the most important,
there he is.
There he is, the Master Blaster. Joe Weider. Boy, everything is backwards and reversed on this.
It's still good. It's still good, Robert. You're doing a good job.
There we go. Okay.
Yes.
So obviously, you would think that everybody knows who Joe Weider is, but sadly, I'm finding out that they don't. Because and that's what happens. As generations move on, the new generations don't actually even understand that Joe Weider started all of this. Everything, this entire industry that we're in with bodybuilding and fitness and working out was all started by Joe Weider. I was very, very fortunate to have worked with him for 20 years very closely. And I owe a lot to this man, definitely. He taught me all about, bodybuilding. And that's obviously, we didn't even touch upon that,
I know.
But my first meeting with him was really something very special because they sent me, I'll back up for just a minute. I was sent a model. There was a creative director I was working with, Jim Chatta, in the early 1980s.
I remember Jim.
And Jim was a very talented creative director, and we had worked together elsewhere. And at the time, in the middle of the 1980s, the way that I ended up with Muscle and Fitness, honestly, is that Mike Nevue and John Bellick left Muscle and Fitness. They were the main photographers, and they left to do Iron Man magazine. They acquired Iron Man magazine.
Okay.
Which opened up an opportunity at Muscle and Fitness. And Jim Chatta called me up. He says, "Well, we have this opening at Muscle and Fitness," and he says, "I know you don't know bodybuilding, but I know you know photography and you know lighting, and I think you can do a great job." He said, "So why don't I had a studio on Main Street in Santa Monica at the time, and he said, I'll send you down a bodybuilder, and you just do a test shoot with him." And that's all he said to me. And I'm like, okay. And he gave me no direction. He's like, "I'm just going to send you a guy. You do a shoot, and then you come up and you show us what you've done." They wanted to see what I could do. So I built what I thought was a cool little set. I did my even back then. This is around 1985. I did what I thought was some cool lighting. I had worked with Franco Colombo previously, but I hadn't really worked with bodybuilders, honestly, at that point in time. So I didn't really know much about bodybuilding per se. I just knew about photography. So I took the shots. I thought the shots came out fantastic. So I'm all excited. I was probably in my, I don't know how old I was, in my 30s. I went up to Joe Weider's office. He said, "Well, come up and you're going to meet with Joe. You'll show him the pictures and we'll see what he thinks." So I brought him the pictures. I'm a little nervous. I go into his office. His office is massive. Had this very long conference table. The whole thing was a little bit, it was impressive and intimidating. Anyway, he's looking through the pictures and he's not saying anything, which made me a little nervous that he wasn't saying anything. Usually you think, well, somebody's going to react. So anyway,
right.
He looks through the pictures and he says to me finally, "Oh, the guy is soft." That's the way he used to.
Right.
That's the way he used to talk. He said he's soft. I go, what do you mean he's soft, Joe? I didn't know what he was talking about. Again, I didn't know bodybuilding. And he says, well, he doesn't have any definition, and he starts, and so apparently he was very upset because the guy was soft. To me, the guy was very muscular. I didn't know the difference between being like ripped and dead on and not. So the guy was a big bodybuilder, and that's all I knew. So apparently,
big and soft.
He was soft, and it wasn't even about the photos, because if the guy is soft, the photo, he says, how can I ever use this?
It sounds just like him too.
So anyway, I just looked at him. I said, Joe, you don't know it yet, but I'm the best photographer you're ever gonna.
Okay.
So I was definitely confident, a little on the cocky side, but I was confident in my ability, and I understood that I didn't understand about the bodybuilding poses. So he says, we'll give you another opportunity. So they started giving me some little shoots and bigger shoots, and I kept performing and producing. And then it finally got to the point, that eventually Joe would come down. Eventually I worked my way up to doing covers. I'm skipping way, way forward.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe would come and work with me very closely on the covers. And then it would get to the point that he would trust what I was doing. And he would stop coming to the cover shoots. He would just go, just do what you want.
Yeah, right.
So it got to the point that he, I worked for him, as I said, for almost 20 years. I probably, I shot over half, probably 75%, 50 to 75% of Muscle and Fitness, like the entire issue, the covers. And so, I was very, very lucky to be working with all of these, great athletes. This is all, from that era. And speaking of which, let's see here.
Aw, there's me.
There you are.
There's one of them. Where my eyes are normal color.
Your eyes are normal color.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is, whoop, there goes the camera. So
I love it. I love it.
And then the fast forward, let's see if I could get this. Robert Kennedy, may he rest in peace.
Right.
After Muscle and Fitness, I started working with Robert Kennedy publication. I left Muscle and Fitness and started working with Robert Kennedy.
Right.
And this is the picture. Let me see if I can get it. This is the picture of Clint Eastwood.
With his car.
That he asked me to take, with the license plate.
Bird Loves.
Yes, that was a jazz. He had made a movie about jazz. He's a big jazz fan.
Okay.
And that's what that was about.
I love it. We just showed the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly to Kona, who's 26, and he hadn't seen it yet. So we introduced him to Clint Eastwood's good old movies. Oh yeah, yep. He's done a lot of great movies. So I have countless bookcases of magazines that I've shot. I don't even know what to do with them, but I know, right? But I just have loads of bookcases full. You need a whole studio just for all of your stuff, all your memorabilia. Let me see if I can get this in the right. Aw, there's me. Hotness. Yes, some good times, Robert, for sure. Yeah. I remember that photo shoot too. It was a beautiful location, super simple shooting, and So Robert, I think we need a take two with you and have another photo shoot. Well, that too, but have another time to bring you back on the Monica Brant show. There seems like there's so much more to talk about. I know you've got a lot going on with an app right now, which just so you know, I am really interested in learning more about. But can we at least? Yes. Yeah, so I am working. I do want to touch on that. I know we've gone like about a day over our time, and I didn't think it was going to go this long myself because I'm used to being on the other side of the camera.
But I have been working in the app world. I do want to touch on that for the last 5 or 6 years, thanks to my good friend Lauren Abraham. She brought me to this industry. This is an ebook that Lauren and I shot together, which is we started working first, as she was working for me as a model, for Muscle and Fitness and Muscle and Performance. But then we did this ebook, and when it came time, when the app world started exploding, originally FitPlan came to her and asked, if she would be their first, and she said, well, yes, I'll do it, but I'm only going to do it if Robert can do the video work. These were video apps.
Okay.
So I transitioned into the video world. I shot for 3 years with FitPlan, with Lauren and I producing and directing videos. And then we left and have been with Plank Apps and Plank Studio for the last 2 years. So we've been producing a lot of apps, with really all the big influences, the best of the best. So I've kind of left the magazine world. It's not that I left the magazine world. It's just that the magazine world is leaving us.
Right, which is really sad. I understand. Yeah.
Which is really sad because I have a lifetime, in the magazine world. Let me adjust this. So I was able to transition, just as I transitioned from the film world to the digital world. When that happened, I transitioned from the still world to the video world when it became a little bit more apparent that video content was going to become, so prevalent. And my client at the time, which was, Muscle and Performance and The Box and Oxygen Magazine, they wanted to go into video, and they're like, well, Robert, you have to choose because you can't work for both us and for another company competing with us. So I chose to go, the video route. And I've been predominantly, I still do photography, of course, but I've been doing video for about 5-6 years now with these top influencers shooting apps. And it's been great. It's been a challenge. I work with, some great people. And it keeps it interesting for me because I'm able to learn and explore something new, because it had really gotten to the point that there wasn't anything new for me to learn or discover necessarily in photography, as much as I still loved it. So anyway, if we're able to, I have a little sizzle reel that just shows a little bit of my video work, if we're able to roll that.
Absolutely. Robert, you've done everything that's possible to do, and I love that you're still always learning and thinking of something new and reinventing yourself and making yourself available for new things. It's just shows that you are a leader in the industry and you're passionate about what you do and about people, and it's really amazing to see everything and to kind of reflect on the things that I do know, and then to learn all the other things that you've done too.
Oh yeah, we never even spoke about my early fashion years in the 1970s.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We need a round 2. Can we bring you back on, Robert, to visit more about some of that?
Because there's so many stories that I forgot this. As I said in the beginning, I probably forgot more than I even will get to, because there's just so many stories that I'd like to share with you.
So this is why I wanted to have this show, is to reconnect with the people that I have worked with, that I feel have made this industry. But I mean, you have so much more than just this industry, and it's really, impactful to hear all of it and to reminisce with you. I love it. I know that we've all got to probably allow everyone to go back to their normal lives, because I know everyone's sitting on the edge of their seat like, what's going to happen next? So I think we need to have a round 2 with Robert and come back and visit a little bit more. In the meantime, before we let you go, and I just have a couple things. Number one, Kona, are we able to show that sizzle reel or no? I'm not. Okay, Kona doesn't have it pulled up right now. Sorry. That's going to be round 2, Robert. Okay, but can you tell people if they have any opportunities to work with you, how do they get hold of you? And then I have a final question for you.
Right. So I'm very easy to get a hold of. You know, my Instagram is under my name, Robert Reiff, Reiff, Robert Reiff. My Facebook is under Robert Reiff. You could DM me. My website is either robertreiff.com or magiclight.com. If you're a photographer or a videographer and are looking to rent a studio,
yes,
this beautiful studio is available, by the day to rent as well. And
are you open? Are you available for photo shoots? If people want to hire you, they can get to you through your website or one of the social media.
People can they could email me at robert@magiclight.com.
And it's spelled normal spelling, Magic Light.
MAGICLIGHT, magiclight.com, robert@magiclight.com.
Right.
Or they could DM me on either of the social medias.
Or people can just message me too, and I can send them to you and you to them, or however. Right.
I'm available for, if you're an influencer and want to shoot. I'm especially interested in companies that want to do campaigns. Yes. I feel I specialize, in a lot, but I like working with the company on building their advertising campaign and their image. So if there's something that you want to do, I help co-create, I help marketing, I help with, the business side of things. So it's a collaborative process.
That's awesome, Robert. That's awesome. I mean, I have so many more questions, and I'm sure Sarah does too. The last question I do have for you, though, before we're going to sadly say goodbye and good night. For now, goodbye for now.
Yes.
What do you do right now to stay fit and love life?
To stay fit and love life, well, I told you earlier, I spend a lot of time, obviously, with my wife, Joan. My family. I love the whole family experience. I have a 36-year-old son, Ryan. I have a stepson, Matt, who's also 36, stepdaughter, Lindsay, and they have grandchildren. And Matt's wife, Lauren. So we're all going up to Napa next week to spend a week as a family together, which is going to be fabulous. And then to stay fit, as I said in the beginning of the show, I do have a little gym at home. I try to work out about 5 days a week, I would say. Typically doing some kind of a workout and walking, spinning, biking, hiking.
And then you have your fake weights there if you wanted to
And I have the fake weights if I want to really feel good about myself.
In the mirror.
And
those big giant weights.
Know, do we have any time to just quickly show the early pictures from the 70s?
Kona has those?
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
This is fashion work from the 1970s. I had 2 studios in New York City in the 1970s. And then I rolled into this high fashion, into shooting catalog work. And that was all before I came out to Los Angeles, which was in 1979.
Wow. Robert, your history is just second to none. And you're such a wonderful, humble man that just cares about so many details and people. I don't know how you do it, but God's given you a beautiful talent and heart for others. And we're just so thankful to get to talk to you tonight. I hate to let you go because I know there's so much more that's so fun to hear. But I know Joan's probably wishing you were coming home soon.
I did get a phone call from Joan.
Are you done?
Where are you?
It was really nice talking to you, Robert. It was nice to finally get to know a little bit more.
Great, yes, to speak to you, and I hope to be able to see more of your work and see you more in person. And Monica, thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate the opportunity. It was a lot of fun, and it was great to reminisce about some of the stories. We have more stories for part 2. There's a lot more reminiscing. There's lots more that has not been given away.
I know. So before we let you go, we've got our 2 winners for Egg White International and Legendary Foods. So the winner for the book, title of my book that Robert did all the photography and I authored, is Secrets to Staying Fit and Loving Life. Ruben Juarez won that one.
No way!
Remember this, Robert?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Oops, there we go. Yeah. So I have another book I want to write. So maybe, we'll have to talk about that sometime. But okay, so cool. Thank you, Ruben, for joining us. If you're still on, thank you for joining us. We will see you Wednesday for your photo shoot with Miss Sarah and myself. And then Alicia Carlson Anderson won the second question for Legendary Foods of what color were my eyes for the Flex magazine cover. And they were blue. Let's see. No, it goes this way. Can you
backwards?
Yeah. There you go.
Yep, they changed my eyes to blue, and I've got brown eyes. So thank you, Alicia, for joining us, and I will touch base with you to get your address and get you your goodies as well. So super excited, Robert. We're gonna let you sign out and go be with your amazing wife and enjoy her and the rest of your evening there in California. Praying for you, your family, and just so thankful to get to catch up with you. And I hope to get to work with you again sometime because we worked together almost 20 years in a row, and I miss you. So
I miss you too.
Thank you so much. I look forward to getting to see you again at some time soon. And Sarah, we'll close up here when we let Robert get off and go be with Joan. Have fun in Napa, Robert.
Have a great trip.
Thank you both very much. It's really been a pleasure. Thank you to all your fans and anybody listening. Thank you for letting us share this time with you.
It was very special, Robert. Thank you. We'll see you and talk to you real soon. Hang tight, you guys. Sarah and I'll be right back. Soon. All right, Sarah. There we are. I know you and I, Sarah. I mean, we could sit here and talk about this for a long time, but you're in the other room.
I'm not that far. I'm definitely in the same zip code.
And we have a virtual photo shoot to do tonight.
We sure do. And our client is in Australia.
I know. And she's probably getting all ready. So I did tell her we're running a few minutes late. So I'm excited about this. Sarah and I are doing we've got virtual photo shoots set up this week. Super excited. Tonight's our first one. Miss Amy Fox, who I am going to have as a special guest on here in the future. So you guys be watching for Miss Amy to come on and visit with us here on the Monica Brant Show. Sarah, we had talked about doing a giveaway tonight for Bodyscape magazine cover. Are we set up for that? I think we have to come up with something very fun and easy. So so you guys, whoops, there it is. Yep, it's right behind Miss Sarah. So that's
right there.
There it is. There she is. So that's my January 2020 Bodyscape cover, which extended my career of magazine covers to 2020 from 1994. 26 years of covers.
Just keep it going as long as it can go. Give Monica covers because she deserves them all.
Thank you. So we wanted to offer this up. I've had people over the course of this last few months asking for a signed autographed copy. So Sarah in Bodyscape magazine, Picture Group Photography has donated a magazine to ship out to one of you USA residents. So I think, why don't we go in here and let's see, whoever's the first guy to sign on tonight, that's USA, that came on and commented, why don't we find that person? That would be Ruben. Ruben. All right, this is going to be easy. Ruben, you got a cover coming tomorrow, signed
We'll give it to you tomorrow. In fact, I'll take a photo of Monica giving you the magazine tomorrow. Signed, sealed, delivered, and a photo.
He was our first male to come on tonight and comment. That's where we're going tonight with it. So Thank you, Sarah, for that. Super fun. All right, you guys, as always, it's a wonderful opportunity to join you tonight. I know tonight went longer than planned. I don't know. I couldn't not listen to those amazing stories and hear what all Robert's done and honor his legacy in everything he's done. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Our history.
History, right. And so it was a really fun night. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for staying with us and all your comments. I will have to circle back and see what comments are there. Thank you. Thank you to our sponsors, Egg White International, Legendary Foods, Bodyscape Magazine, Picture Groove, and we have new sponsor coming on next week. Yeah, next week is next month. So we'll have a new sponsor in August coming in. So we're getting excited about that. You guys, next week we have another special guest coming on. So I'm excited about next week. You guys join back in Tuesday night talk show Tuesday night. Anyways, something like that. But
Yeah.
all right, Sarah, we're gonna get back to our epic destination photo this week, and yep. And you guys check it out when you can on Facebook, Instagram, and if anyone ever wants to shoot with Sarah and myself, you know how to get hold of me. I'm all over social media.
Or you can go to epicdestinationshoot.com.
There you go, and send in a request there, and there's all the new updates will be coming in there. So, okay, thank you so much, Sarah, for co-hosting tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me, Mo. That was a blast.
We'll see you in the kitchen in a few minutes.
Sounds good. I'll meet you there.
All right, guys. Good night. Stay fit. Love life.
Bye, everybody.
This has been a Kona Cam production. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time.